Hi everybody, Eugene here with Darkroom Software. In this video we are going to cover how to set up a server client environment in Darkroom Pro and Core. This is used with high volume photography like Santa shoots, amusement parks, Easter, anytime that you need multiple stations like for capture, sales, printing, and editing. In this situation, or in this workflow, we're going to set up a single capture station and attach it to the server, and the server is going to handle the printing, but it'd be the same if you had multiple capture stations or if you wanted to use one station for editing and sales. But let's go ahead and jump right in and see how this is configured. Okay, so here we are in Darkroom Pro. And a Darkroom Pro license is required for this type of setup. It will work as our server, and then a core license for every workstation that you're adding on would be required. So we are going to click on our setup tab and click on network options, and we'll want to change it from single computer to server computer. And this right here is pretty important. If you do not see a port option, or if it's set to port 80, I'd recommend updating it to port 8080. Or if you don't have the option, what you can do is we'll go ahead and close the software, and we're going to go to our web browser, and under Darkroom Core Pro we're going to browse to Darkroom Pro features and networking, and under the how to setup guide that this video will be added to, we're going to go ahead and download this port registry update. So we'll download it and double click on it to install it, and then click yes and OK. And now when we open the software, if you didn't have the port, it would be added and set to 8080, or if you did have it, it'll automatically update it to port 8080. And we'll do the same thing on the client computer in just a moment. So the next thing we want to do is this folder right here. We're going to go ahead and copy that, and that's the folder that's going to be shared across our network. If you're using a different, if you have a different location, that's fine. You just want to make sure the permissions are set so that computers across the network can see it. So what we'll do is paste that path, and we're going to go back one step to just the Darkroom software folder, and if we right click on it and go to properties, under sharing and advanced sharing, the folder is shared and we have our permissions. We'll want to make sure that full control is enabled for everyone. So that what that means is a computer is able to access this folder, and they have read and write privileges that they can add files and delete them. So it is set for full control. The next thing that we'll want to do is we'll right click on our network and go to properties there, and we're going to go to advanced sharing settings, and we'll want to make sure that the computers are set to a private network. Now in the network setup for Windows, we recommend using a router, and that will assign the IP addresses. It would work with a switch or a crossover cable, but the configuration in Windows is quite a bit more complicated, so we recommend using a router. In this case I'm using a wireless router, but some people prefer to use a wired router to just have a more stable connection. So under the private sharing settings, we have network discovery turned on, and we are allowing file sharing and printer sharing. And under all networks, I have password protected sharing turned off. That's what I'd recommend if you're not too familiar with setting up user permissions and those type of things. That way you don't have to enter a password to access this folder from another computer. So for here we have password protected sharing turned off. Okay, and we can go ahead and cancel out of there. The one other thing that I would recommend doing is, if you have any antivirus, for right now, disable that and make sure everything connects, and then maybe turn it back on and set an exception for Darkroom software. And what we're going to do is, in our firewall, we're going to essentially do the same thing. I have my firewall, and it is turned on. I'm going to go ahead and turn that firewall off for now and make sure everything connects first, and then afterwards we can turn it back on once we know it's working, and then set an exception for Darkroom. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and just disable that. Okay. And then one final thing, just to make sure everything is set up and working properly, we're going to just kind of test it from this computer. So I'm going to go to right click on this PC, and properties, I can see my computer name right here. So from the server, I'm just testing the connection. It's just making sure that it can be found. We're going to do the same thing on the client. Okay. So type in / Eugene desktop, and once again, I got that name from right here under the device name. That's the computer name. So / Eugene desktop, and I can see the photos folder. So I can see that it is being shared. So the next step we're going to do is, that everything should be configured properly on the server. Let's go ahead and switch into the computer behind me. We'll minimize all this, and I'm running TeamViewer to log into this computer here. So we'll open up, before we open up Core, I'm going to go ahead and make that registry update. So they're both communicating on the same port. And that has been installed. Okay, and we'll go ahead and minimize that. We can close that. Now when we open Core, it should already be configured. Looks like it was already open, but we'll close it and open it again. Now when we go to our network options and click on client computer, we can see the port is set correctly, and we're going to manually specify the computer name. So it's the same path that we had before, and what I like to do, just to be safe, is, or to make sure that I'm not missing anything, is test that connection now from this computer. I'm remotely controlling it, so it's / Eugene desktop, and we're going to go ahead and click on this folder. And now what we're going to do is we're going to test the permissions by creating a new folder. And then deleting it, and that's just making sure that from this computer, once again I'm remotely controlling this computer, so from this computer that I can create files and delete them, and everything seems to be working there okay. So we can minimize that, switch back to Core. We've manually specified the server. We're going to click test and see how our connection is. It was unable to connect. We'll go ahead, and if you see that, we'll close it. It might take just a minute. Let's open it back up. And if there was a problem connecting, you would have received an error message right there. But now when we test it, okay, so now that we know that the client is connected to the server, let's go ahead and test out that connection. I'm going to go ahead and click on camera options. I have a Canon camera connected to this computer, so I'm going to capture an image on this computer and verify that it shows up on the server. So here we go. We'll go ahead and turn it just a little bit so it's capturing a white wall, and we can switch to our photo workshop, and the image should show up right here, and we can see that kind of got a little bit of green wall right there. So that's all working. If I minimize and switch over, now I'm in the server computer. I'm going to click F5, and I can see that image is now showing up over here. So if one person's capturing images, the person on the server can be updating, editing, placing orders. Now you can also do the same thing from the client, and I have this programmable keyboard added to the side, so it's set to capture an image. So we'll go ahead and take a picture, and I'm going to just move it so we can see that it's that it's showing a new picture. So right here we have that little bit of green right there, and from here I can send a print to the printer, and it's sending it through the server. So I can take a few photos, and then once I decide which one I want, and you can still, I've added this just because it's a little easier, because it's a little harder to get that button right there. So I've added, external keyboard, but you can use your number keypad on your keyboard, or you can just click the package there and it'll send that print to the printer. Now this setup is using a tablet in an enclosure tethered to a camera. Now for you might want to use a laptop, and maybe if it was a sales station, that might be a better option, because then you're actually working on a table. In a sales environment, I might want to add another monitor that's customer facing, and then that can show the image that you're currently working on. So if they're not sure which image they want, you click on it, it shows a larger preview to make sure everybody's eyes are open, everybody's smiling, and they can use that to decide before their purchase. But here there's a capture station, and it's just a tablet on a C-stand with a camera attached. And or let's say you work in you're more mobile, like in a restaurant environment where you're capturing images where kids are taking pictures with maybe amusement park mascots. So in that situation, what I would do is I would use a tablet that's then attached to a case that has a strap, and the computer or the camera is attached to that, and that person can then capture their images while it's attached to a remote tablet, and they can show from the tablet the image and then place the order. So you can take multiple photos and then choose the best one and then print it. And there is also I'm gonna go ahead and switch over back to the client computer so it's a little easier for you to see. In more of a sales station or almost kiosk environment, we can switch into presentation mode. So let's pretend this is not a capture station, but that now this is for printing. You can then go select an image, and then once again you have your packages right here. So, and you can enable some editing that they can do. Once again, this is less of a capture station, but then more of a sales station or a sales kiosk. So there are a lot of different configurations that you can do using Darkroom Pro and Darkroom Core in a networked environment. Hopefully this has helped. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.